Finally, chapter 1, verse 1. But at least on the 9th lesson, we are on verse 1. Earlier when we did, it took a lot of time to get in here. So this is the lesson learned, and we can do this in a time-bound manner. So the first chapter is very important. Usually the first chapter is overlooked. So we will try to see what exactly is the real meaning of the first chapter. So that's what we are going to do. So without any further delay, let's go to the topic. So chapter 1, verse 1. So let's listen to the chanting first.
Dharma kshetre kurukshetre samaveta mamakav pandavaschaiva kimakurvata Sanjaya.
Most of the people heard this verse at least, right? This is the first verse of the Gita. So at least in chanting and all the context, most of the people heard this particular verse. Dhritarashtra uvacha dharma kshetre kurukshetre samaveta yuyutsuvaha mamaka pandavaschaiva pandavascha evaha kim akurvata Sanjaya. So this is the first verse. Once again, dharma kshetre kurukshetre samaveta yuyutsuvaha mamaka pandavaschaiva kimakurvata Sanjaya. So this is the first verse of the Bhagavad Gita. Mind you, Bhagavad Gita is not an independent work. It is the 25th chapter of the Bhishma Parva of the Mahabharata. But when Shankaracharya took this out as an independent work, this is the first verse. So you all know the story. What is the context of the Gita? We went through that last week. So the basic human problem is presented in the context of a civil war that happened in the ancient India. So in that civil war, there were two parties. One is Pandavas, who represent the adharma side or the negative side or the people of wrongdoing. And on the other side, it was Pandavas, who represents dharma, who are on the right side, who are on the positive forces. So these two armies are about to fight. And there were 18 akshauhinis of army. Akshauhini is a measure. It could be a certain number of people, certain number of chariot, certain number of elephants, etc. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter to us. But Kauravas had 11 akshauhinis and Pandavas had only 7 akshauhinis. In other words, the Kaurava army was large in number. They had great warriors like Bhishma, Drona, Karna, etc. On the other side, Pandava had a small army, but they had Krishna on their hand, even though Krishna was not to fight. So this is the context. So how this Gita begins is, the father of the Kauravas. Who was the father of the Kaurava? Dhritarashtra. Dhritarashtra was a blind old king. Right? He cannot see what is happening in the battlefield. He never see anything. So he had a faithful reporter, and this reporter's name was Sanjaya. Sanjaya was in fact his charioteer, and he had a boon from the sage Vyasa to see what is happening in the battlefield. So this first verse of the Gita is a question by Dhritarashtra. Question by a king who is not supposed to see. Question by a king to a person who reports correctly. Question to a person who reports impartially. So this is the first verse. So Dhritarashtra asks Sanjaya, "O Sanjaya, in the battlefield of dharma, dharma kshetre kurukshetre." So in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Kurukshetra means the plane of activity. Kuru means activity, Kshetra means plane. So in the battlefield, which is a dharma kshetra, so a battle for dharma, in that battle, what did they do? Who? My people and Pandavas. Simple looking verse. So this is the beginning of the Gita. So the blind old king Dhritarashtra asked his faithful reporter Sanjaya, "Oh Sanjaya, what is happening in the battlefield of Kurukshetra between my people and Pandavas?" A superficial reading is, it's a story. It's a simple story, right? A Dhritarashtra, a blind old king, is asking a question to his charioteer. A simple read would do that much of it. But in fact, this is a very important verse. So when you write a scripture, right, typically what they do is the first word of the scripture plus last word of the scripture, if you add that together, that will convey the meaning of the scripture. So here what is the first word? Dharma, right? And if you go to the last verse of the Bhagavad Gita, it says mama. So if you add this dharma plus mama, what do you get? Mama dharma. What is dharma? We already talked about that. What is dharma? It is the universal order of the universe, right? It is the natural order of the universe. It is the universal law to which I should conform for a healthy, happy, peaceful life, right? Means it right from the physical world to the physiological world to the psychological world to the social world. Everywhere the dharma is there. Remember, the dharma is I should not hurt you because I don't want to get hurt. I should live a good lifestyle because otherwise I am hurting the dharma of the body, right? If I abuse my body with overeating or unhealthy food, there is a dharma for the body, right? You have to follow that. There is a dharma means you have to keep. And we said like whenever you rub your shoulders with dharma, you get bleeding. So this dharma, what exactly is my dharma? That is the answer Gita is giving. What exactly is the rules I should be conforming to? So that is point number one. Point number two is, this is a bigger question. So let's see that. So this is an important point. Do we know what is happening within us, around us, and about us? Are we means how much self-awareness each one of us have? Don't overlook this because please pay careful attention, right? What is the state of your body? Do you pay attention to some pains here or some uncomforts here? Most probably, a lot of people don't even realize what is happening in their state of the body. Like if your blood pressure goes up, you might be able to sense it. You might be able to sense what is happening with your physical system. If there is a muscle tension, how many of us notice the muscle tension? Most of the times we fail to notice the muscle tension. That is the first sign of the stress. Okay, physical body, at least we know that if there is a pain, there is a sensation, I would be at least aware of that. But what is happening inside my mind? I feel that I am depressed. Why am I depressed? Some thoughts or some emotions in my mind is overtaking my mind. Most of the times I am not aware of that emotional state of my mind. Most of the time I fail to put a brake when I react when an emotional situation happens. Most of the time I fail to understand the other person's emotion when he shouts at me. Most of the time I find it difficult to relate with other people. So what is happening within me? What is happening around me? What is happening towards me? Most of the time I am blind. Dhritarashtra symbolically represents a blind mind. The mind is typically blind to what is happening. Most of the times the mind interprets the situation in a way it is conducive to me. When I see an unhealthy food, I will just compromise that day and the mind will give an excuse. What? After all, it's Diwali. When the alarm ring in the morning to get up and do my workout, the blind mind gives me an excuse. What? You worked hard yesterday. Correct? Every lifestyle change program in the world fails because my mind is blind towards what is happening. They say, right, if you don't give time to health, it will demand time from you later point of time. So, am I aware of what is happening? Am I aware of the stress level in me? Am I aware of the emotions that controls me? Am I aware of my reactions? Am I aware of the stress and frustration happening in me? Most of the time, we are blind to these emotions and emotions and pressures and depressions and even my social response. Some people say that nobody talks to me. Why? You are behaving like that. I told you one story. This is a real life story. In our community, I was talking to a dad, who came to India, and I saw that this dad shouts at the child every moment, the son. And I was asking him, why are you angry every time? He said, I never get angry with my son. So even though his response is that he is not aware, it's autopilot, like automated. The life is automated, and I just respond to situation. Kids are like that, adults are like that. So I'm not aware what is happening. And the biggest tragedy is the stress that accumulates. And I showed some statistics, right? We are getting into this status stress state. So that's where, if the Gita has to begin, this Dhritarashtra's question has to be there. What is happening inside me? What is happening around me? How am I responding to my spouse? How am I responding to my child? How am I responding to my boss? What is my eating habit? How am I transacting in the world outside? If I'm not aware of that, I cannot control, right? If I don't know, I may think that I'm doing healthy eating. Remember when we did the diabetic prevention program, after the third week, one person said like his weight is not coming down. And then I asked him to weigh that, like how much he's eating. Then only he realized that he thought it is 1 unit, he was eating 5 units. Self-awareness is not just limited to the emotions and thoughts. It is everything that is happening in and around me. So this awareness is extremely important. The Gita can begin only when I am determined to do an honest introspection. And that is why the Dhritarashtra, who was blind to the situations all along the time, because he could have prevented this war. This is a prototype. He didn't do anything because of his attachment. Attachment meaning obsession. Remember? Raga, Shoka, Moha. We talked about that ladder of downfall last week. So this Dhritarashtra was too much obsessed with a particular situation for his children. And then what happened? He was under the emotional pressure, and that made him deluded. He could not act at all. And finally, here in this battlefield, he is asking Sanjaya. He is not asking somebody who just report always in his favor. Sanjaya was known for speaking hard truth. So he is asking Sanjaya, what is happening in the battlefield? Like that, there is a battle happening inside me. I'm not aware of what is happening inside and around me. So I need to develop this quality called Sanjaya. My blind mind need to find a Sanjaya within me, which is known as the self-introspection or self-analysis, and ask him that question every day. What is happening to me? This is the theme of the first verse. If that Dhritarashtratvam, they call a technical word called Dhritarashtratvam, the Dhritarashtra-ness, what is that? Failing to see what needs to be seen. As a parent, I fail to see what is happening to my child. As a husband, means as a head of the house, I fail to see what is happening in the family. As a social person, I fail to see what is happening around me. As an individual, I fail to see what is happening inside me, the stress and everything. So develop that Sanjaya within me and ask that question every day. Do the self-awareness meditation. I'm going to give you that meditation very soon in our meditation class, or even here we can talk about that. There is a meditation which is going to talk to you. What is happening in and around me? This understanding is extremely important to proceed with Gita. Okay, so that is the first part, and let's move on to the next slide. We have a lot of slides to cover. Okay, so the first step if you want to improve yourself, if you want to progress, Why you are studying Gita? We wanted to be happy, contented, efficient, right? So if you wanted to go to that route, if you want to pursue that path, the first step is self-analysis. You have to know what type of thoughts are driving you, what type of emotions are driving you. Like sometimes what happened with respect to work, I am completely good. Whatever happens at work, I am firm and stern. But a small thing in the family, I may break down. So you need to understand where exactly is your slippery slope or the pain point. Different people, it is different. Some people, whatever happens at home, they are careless. But any minor thing at work, they are painful. And some people, neither work nor home, something in the society. And some people, somebody else's issue could bother them. But where exactly is my pain point? Where exactly is my slippery slope? Where I get out of control? I need to find out. I need to find out why I am not able to execute what I need to execute at a given point of time. That's also I need to understand, right? I made a determination because in Valmiki Ramayana, like Rama is described as Dhritarashtra. What is Vrata? You may say austerity, right? Like Hanuman Vrata, etc. Vrata means not that. That which you Varanam. Varanam means what? You have adopted. You have taken something. So I took a vow to maintain my health. I'm going to make a vow that I'm going to do 10,000 steps every day. If I make that determination, it is for a reason. I need to make it. The person who make it is known as Dhritarashtra, and Rama is not that. Valmiki Ramayana starts with that 12 or 16 qualities of Rama. You should all read that. Amazing. So this, where exactly my vrata breaks, where exactly I fall down, I need to understand. It's okay to fall down, but if you fall down again and again and again for the same mistake, that is not good. That is what is happening in our lifestyle. Why am I getting stressed? Why am I getting anxiety? Why am I getting depressed? Why I am not able to interpret my spouse or my friend's words? Why I experience this much stress? The very fact that I am not feeling happy and contented, that indicates that there is something wrong in me. I need to understand that. So what type of thoughts are driving me? What type of emotions are driving me? What are the events that triggers these negative thoughts and emotions in me? For some people, it might be very simple. I told you the other day, right? If the coffee is hot, some people get mad. Some people, it might be some health issue. But eventually, nothing should bother you, right? So you need to understand where exactly is your fear? Where exactly is your anxiety? If you want to face the fear, you need to understand what is the source of the fear. But most of the times we don't know that. So then feeling we express from our perception, right? Sometimes when I see my daughter is not studying properly, am I getting sad or am I getting anger? What types of emotions are overwhelming me? And how do I respond to the situation? Like suppose today is Sunday. Tomorrow morning before going to school, your son coming back and telling that, okay, I forgot to do the homework. What do? Most of the Indian parents shout at the child. Is that going to help? So 1 hour is there. Do you want to help the child to get the homework and talk about that later? Or you want to shout at that child? Every parent knows that. But in that situation, he cannot but shout. It's nobody's fault. But you need to understand. This is how I am programmed. This is my mental pay makeup. This is how I respond to situation. So Dhritarashtra's question is what? I am trying to deep dive into my blind mind and trying to understand my mental makeup so that I can fix myself. If your car shows, the dashboard shows that air is low, you always go and fix it. But how do you know that means air is low? By looking at the dashboard. If you're blind to that dashboard, what is going to happen? So there is a dashboard you need to develop within yourself. And constantly you have to look at that dashboard. And what exactly is the parameters you have to look at that dashboard? We need to decide. That's the first chapter. So don't overlook the first verse as a simple question from a blind old king who do not have any significance in our current world. Dhritarashtra is within us. Sanjaya is within us. So So that's what the first step of the Gita is, self-analysis. So this is extremely important. This is one exercise we all should do from today. At least before go to bed, take 5 minutes and just scan through the event. Just scan through the event. That itself, the very fact that somebody means you are monitoring it, that itself is going to reduce the gravity automatically. If somebody is monitoring you, you don't do any mischiefs. Like that, the thoughts and emotions are exactly like that. Okay, so that is one thing. And then, so Dhritarashtra, the first verse is willingness to understand. He was a blind king. He could not understand, but he selected Sanjaya, who is impartial and faithful reporter. So my self-analysis should be impartial and faithful. Second thing is, we need to understand what is going, that desire should be there in me, and then I should employ my own self-assessment so that I can improve. Leadership classes. Most of the leadership classes now talks about this self-awareness. I can give you modules after modules which talks about the self-awareness. What type of personality you are, right? There is a very popular training called social styles. Anybody did that? Yeah. It's very popular leadership training called a social style. What type of a leader you are? Like, some people are analytical, some people are drivers, some people are different types are there. So they did a lot of research and they found that when an analytical leader work with a driving leader work with an analytical subordinate, they will fight. Most of the time they don't realize because they don't know their social style. So they ask you to learn this self-awareness. So the self-awareness is big, that is being taught everywhere, and even in Daniel Goleman's philosophy of emotional intelligence, self-awareness is the first pillar there. We are supposed to do a workshop, we will do some time, but self-awareness is, you will believe exactly the same things you are observing there also. That's it. Okay? So the willingness to introspect, the willingness to do the self-analysis is the beginning of the Gita. Otherwise, you may quote Gita, you may preach Gita, listening to you somebody else may benefit, but my problems are my problems. So again, we are not studying the Gita, right? We are studying ourselves. That is one thing. Even the Vedanta class, that's what I was telling. We are studying ourselves. This is a roadmap. So mastering the roadmap is good if it is used. So goal is not to master the roadmap. The goal is use that roadmap and understand myself. Okay. So let's move. So now the symbolism. The symbolism, the word Dhritarashtra, the first word. The word Thr means that which holds, or the kingdom. That is what is. So the one who is attached to the kingdom is known as Dhritarashtra. The one who rules the kingdom, the one who attached the kingdom is Dhritarashtra. Symbolically, it represents the body is considered as a kingdom. Our human body is considered as a kingdom. The one who is attached to that body, thinking that by pleasing the body, I'll be happy. And that which blind to the higher factors of life, doing exercise or sleeping, which is good, which is comfortable. Sleeping, right? Eating healthy food or eating a junk food, which is more good. So the blind mind, typically what happens? It closes its eyes to the reality and pamper the body and eventually comes to suffer. So that Dhritarashtratvam is in me, in you, in everywhere. Identify that. And Dhritarashtra asked that question. So the blind mind should ask that question. So Dhritarashtra, meaning it is blind mind. That is symbolically it means. And Gandhari represents the intelligence. So when the intelligence is married to the blind mind, all the offsprings were negatives. Like Duryodhana, Dushasana, all those things. This is symbolic. Take it as all history is there, but these things are embedded on top of that. So that is what is happening. So Dhritarashtra. The second one is Sanjaya. Sanjaya means, Jaya means what? Victory. Sanjaya means one who is always victorious. So that is symbolically represented as the introspection or the honest self-analysis. Fearless, committed, honest self-analysis. This meaning is given by the great master Paramahamsa Yogananda. So his book called God Talks to Arjuna spent 200 pages on the first chapter, explaining this in detail. If you start reading, you may get confused. But he presented this battle of Mahabharata as a battle within. So this Dhritarashtra represents the blind mind and Sanjaya represents honest introspection. And Kauravas represents the negative thoughts and the emotions, the destructive emotions in my mind. Material passion, all these type of negative means anxiety, jealousy, extreme jealousy, all these things are represented by the Kaurava forces. And the noble virtues in me is represented by Pandavas. Panda means white or the bright or good. That which is born out of Pandu is Pandavas, which are positive emotions and positive thoughts. So there is always a battle happening within me between these two. When I see a situation, what happens? There is a battle happening to take control over my mind, symbolically. And that is a Mahabharata war. And whoever wins that battle makes my feeling, right? I'm going to talk about that a little bit more. So this is the Mahabharata battle. And Pandavas, Kauravas. Remember, Pandavas are small in number. Typically in our mind, the noble characters are less compared to the large. It's nothing wrong. I'm not saying that it is bad. Don't think that this is sin or anything like that. This is natural. This is how the human beings are programmed. See, it's an evolution, right? You're evolving from animal to the superhuman. So initial stages it is like that, and you can accelerate that. That's all. So this is the symbolism. So let's move on. And then Kurukshetra and Dharmakshetra. Kurukshetra means it is the field of activities. Symbolically, it is represented as our body. Field of our activities. And Dharmakshetra, typically what happens? The body, my activities are not aligned with Dharma. When I follow the Dharma, what happens? This Kurukshetra becomes a Dharmakshetra. My body becomes an instrument to execute Dharma. When I live in line with Dharma, right? When my lifestyle is a yogic lifestyle, which is conforming to a Dharma, what is going to happen? I get healthy, I get physically healthy, emotionally healthy, socially healthy, and spiritually healthy. So our goal is to transform our body from a mere Kurukshetra, which just execute with likes and dislikes. I like jalebi, so I eat 15 jalebis. To a Dharmakshetra, which conforms to the rule. Eat only one jalebi. Or I don't find excuse to eat 25 jalebi or laddu, saying that it is Guru Ayappan temples or Tirupati's prasad. I know one guy, he goes to the temple to buy laddus because his wife won't object eating that prasad. Human mind is so creative. They come up with so many ideas to bypass the Dharma. So this is the symbolism. So Dharmakshetra means my goal is the Dharmakshetra. The body can be transformed into a Dharmakshetra by following Dharma. So let's move on. Okay. So one more reclassification. Every challenges we face in life. I need to hunt a job, or I'm facing a health issue, or somebody means loved one is facing a health issue, or there is a social issue is there, or I'm struggling for my green card, or I'm struggling for my job, or I'm struggling with a bullying for my child, right? These are challenges in life. When I face a challenge, what is going to happen? It creates external situation, creates an internal conflict in me. So when I hear the news of a layoff, just imagine that you are hearing the news of a layoff. Nobody told that it is your layoff, right? You heard that your company is acquired by another company. Any acquisition will result in some layoff, that's for sure. I can say that for sure because that's what I do for living, mergers and acquisition, right? So whenever somebody acquires, that news spreads. When I hear that, I can take it in two different ways. One is, there is a risk for my job. That's a fact. There is no point in keeping my eyes closed to the facts. I can say that there is a risk for my job. So what shall I do? I should prepare myself, right? Whenever a change is forced on you, better be ready to change. This is a good old law. So in corporate America, that change can happen anytime. So better be ready, right? You should be ready with your skills updated, because sometimes what happened means I was talking to one of our friends very recently. He did the PMP in 2005 and forgot to update. And now he need to apply for a job. He cannot put that in his resume. So you should be ready for the change and then constantly do what is to be done. Either take the package and go, or wait to see that, okay, sometimes it may not even affect you. Or if you're too scary, go and find a job. But instead, if I sit and cry and worry and anxiety and being depressed, is that going to change any situation? So we know that this is the what I need to do, but what I feel to do is always different. What I feel to do is what? Morning and evening and night, and every time this is coming to me, and the worst possible scenario will be projected in my head. And I think about that and I disturb, and with that mind, when I come home, when the spouse says something, what will be my reaction? I shout. I may not be enjoy my daughter's performance tomorrow, right? I may not be attend the Geeta class. My life is impacted. Why? I don't know. I'm helpless because the type of thoughts comes to my mind, the type of emotions raised in my mind, it is not in my hand. Go back and dissect. So when that news is presented, an internal conflict happens in my mind, and what is the emotions and thoughts and feelings generated at that point of time is my feeling. If I am in control, I might be able to execute the corrective action. But if the emotions are in control, I cannot even study. Like when I open the book, I cannot study. I cannot update my resume. The other day, somebody came and told me like, okay, can you update my resume because I'm not able to focus. I'm worried. I'm anxious. So how I transform myself to this person who falls flat when a challenge comes in front of me, to that person who gets on top of that. Swami Dayananda Saraswati, right? He is a master of the Bhagavad Gita. You should all listen to his last talk. He was here in Silasburg. He knew that his days were counted. He was about to be airlifted to India, and he gave a final address to the people gathered there. He said, in 2 weeks' time you will hear a news that Swami Dayananda passed away. Nobody should be crying, nobody should be talking any lectures, and you should just follow what needs to be done. I am 85 after all, and I lived my life, I established this much. You should feel that I am going good. How many people can say that? The difference is, Swamiji had 2 weeks, and that 2 weeks he enjoyed every bit. If it is you and me, I have already died when I heard that news. That 2 weeks is also gone, isn't it? So, my mind, the thoughts and emotions driving my mind should be positive. And I should allow the Pandavas to be victorious. Yes? Okay, so this is what it is. This is the internal conflict, and this is the battle within. So this battle that is happening inside my mind is fought between Kauravas and Pandavas. On one side, it is the discriminatory. When I say discriminatory, don't think that it is a caste system or anything like that. It means discrimination. Discrimination between what is right and what is wrong. That's all. So discriminatory parts and positive emotions, and on the other side, it is destructive emotions. One, the destructive emotions are born of blind mind, which is Dhritarashtra, and the other one is the discriminative emotions are born out of Pandu. Panda. Panda means Atma Vishaya Buddhi, the one who knows the true knowledge, one who is established in truth, one who is established in the higher. So this internal battle that is happening. Every religion talks about this battle within. The Christianity talks about that. Islam talks about that. Buddha talks about that. Mara. Buddhism talk about Mara. Because Buddha was meditating and he was about to reach his final destination. The constant obstacles was what? Mara. That is these negative forces. In Christianity, you know, right, what happened to the Garden of Eden, right? It's all symbolic story. Don't take it literally. If you take it literally, you will not understand that at all. So what happened? This temptation came, and within that temptation, Eve fell flat, and immediately the ladder of downfall started. This battle within is there in every religion, every schools, every thoughts. We need to understand that. So let's go further. So this is the battle within. So if the positive emotions and thoughts wins that battle, what happened? I will have self-control, I will have calmness, I will have emotional intelligence, I will have efficiency in action, I will have empathy, I will have spiritual awareness. If the Mahabharata war is who wins the battle within. So if the positive thoughts and emotions win the battle, this would be the result. On the other hand, if I let the Kauravas win, what is going to happen? Two snapshots. Worry, anxiety, stress, distractions, emotional hijack, lack of self-control, insecurity and confusion. Can you relate this with yourself? Just take you two situations. I'll tell you one example. One doctor in one of the meeting, he told us, right? He is the best doctor in his profession. He cured hundreds of people. But one day he had to go and examine his mom. He could not do that. Why? Who won the battle at that point of time? Kauravas won. So as a result, because he was extremely worried, and why Kauravas win? We talked about the formula in the last class. Raga, Shoka, Moha. When that happens, the delusion happens, worry and anxiety. So this doctor has the skills to cure his mom. But he cannot apply. Why? His mind was taken over by the Kauravas. So we should, what? Small situation? Yes, I take control. Pandavas will take control. And when it is your problem, yes, I can always easily take control. But when it comes to my problem, always the Kauravas takes control. This problem is universal. It is not just Arjuna's problem. It is my problem, your problem, and after 5,000 years also this would be the same problem. So why Gita is relevant here? This is the same problem. It's not that particular context. So this battle within is important. But first thing is that most of the people don't even recognize that I feel extremely stressed. Why? That is the state of my mind. So more than reality, what my mind projects to me is what I feel. More than reality, what my mind projects to me is what I feel. So when I go to a counselor, what is going to happen? He or she will say something. It will change my mental state. Any counselor in anywhere in the world, has he or she changed the external situation? Then why do you pay hundreds of dollars and go to a counselor? What did he do or she do? First of all, he just listened to you. That itself calmed you down. I'm not saying that I'm not undermining the counseling, but counseling is extremely important, but we need to understand what the counselor can do and what the counselor cannot do. The counselor did not change the behavior of the bully who was bullying your child. The counselor didn't change the school curriculum. The counselor just made your child understood that this is not just you, other people are also going, this is not that big as you think, then he feels better. So it's a clear example. It's a clear example. Right? A tragedy happened. Somebody passed away. At that point of time, you feel that it is the end of the world. After 5 years? Yeah. You forget, the life will move on. I'm not saying that that's bad. It has to be like that. In our culture, there are 28 days or 14 days were given. But at that point of time, what was your thinking? Life has ended here for me. But it was only a feeling. And my response and my stress and pressure was on that feeling, not on the reality. So this is very important. What I feel, what my mind thinks, and this is the central teaching of the Gita. How do I reprogram my mind in such a way that whenever a situation happens, only the right thoughts comes to my mind. We call it as automatic thought. That is the first thought come to the mind is called automatic thought. And what exactly is that automatic thought is going to determine everything else, because there is a domino effect after that. Makes sense, right? This verse. Okay, so this is the most of us are not even aware of that. So gaining victory in this internal battle is extremely important. And I quoted an African proverb, just read that, it is very important. When there is no enemy within, the enemy outside cannot hurt you. How many of you read the first management book in the whole world? What is the first management book? Art of Warfare. Yeah. So what was their technique? If you read that book, you will understand. So they project that this Chinese army has supernatural power. They can come from the behind. They will kill you. So before the battle itself, what happens? Psychologically dead. So that's how they used to win the wars. They have supernatural power. They have the power of hundreds of elephants, and they can come behind the scene. And you can see in history, this is applied. So this is very important. Okay, so one more point. The self versus pseudo-self. Pseudo-self is what? The self that is projected. I am worried, I am anxious, I am depressed, etc. Look at that. When I look at the screen, what I am seeing is terrible. Why? My mind is completely disturbed. When my mind is completely disturbed, what it is projecting is terrible situations. And then my response would be, is that for the reality or that terrible situation projected by the mind? It is for the terrible situation projected by the mind. And what happens is, when there is an internal conflict happens, it projects a pseudo-self, which is going to make you, drive you crazy. And Gita is going to warn you about that. This is the first training. It's called Pradibhasika Satyam, illusionary reality. We are going to see that. But understand that the pseudo-self is there. It is going to create problem. So this is the simple diagram. The actual self is happy, but the pseudo-self, when it projects frustration, I always feel frustrated. When the mind projects stress, I feel stressed. So understand that the feelings are only a feelings. And I told you the other day, emotion means it is a means of the body to communicate to the mind that something has happened. So it is a means of the mind to communicate to the body that something has happened. It's a dashboard only. And it's called E plus motions, emotions, something that moves. So it just tell that, okay, my tire air pressure is low. I just need to take action, but unfortunately we identify with that and we project, we think that I am depressed. Depression is only a sign. Anxiety is only a sign. And how do I take it? A cognitive change has to happen. But right now, in this context, understand that there is a possibility that there is an internal battle happening, and that internal battle can disturb my mental state, and I will be driven left and right by that mental state. We need to prevent that. So that's why identify the Dhritarashtra and Sanjaya. So the first verse, the summary is, it is an instruction to introspect. Without that introspection, Gita won't begin. The type of the thoughts, the type of emotions, events that triggers, feelings we experience at the perception, responses to situation. These are the 5 things you need to look for. The slides are there in OneDrive. Just download it and just copy this one. This is very important. Okay. So now, first verse is over. Dharma kshetre kurukshetre samaveta yuyutsavaha mamakaha pandavaschaiva kim akurvata Sanjaya. Now, Sanjaya responds. So, the blind mind asks the introspection, what is happening in me? Or in the story form, Dhritarashtra asked Sanjaya, what is happening in the Kurukshetra battle? So let's listen.
Drishtva tu Pandavanikam vyudham duryodhanastada acharyamupasangamya raja vachanam abravit.
So, Drishtva tu Pandava Anikam Vyutham Duryodhana Stada Acharyam Upasangamya Raja Vachanam Abravit. Sanskrit has Sandhi, so what happens is multiple words will combine into one word. We'll talk about Sandhi in one of the classes, it's very important. So, Drishtva tu Pandavanikam, having seen the Pandava forces, the positive forces or the dharmic forces, what happened? Drishtva tu Pandavanikam Vyutham. Vyutham means what? Array. Like in battle, ancient battlefield, there was arrays. Like Padma Vyuha, like it's like a lotus. And then Garuda Vyuha means like a Garuda, eagle, there is one. There is a snake like Vyuha. And there are war strategy was there. Ancient warfare, there were war strategies. Just like the modern world, it is there. So having seen the Pandavas' war strategy, the leader of the Kaurava, Duryodhana, approached his teacher, Dronacharya, and spoke these words. This is what Sanjaya reported. So Sanjaya checked what the Kauravas are doing. So it means exactly that is more important. The negative forces, what they are doing. So having seen the Pandava forces, the Duryodhana approached Drona. Why Drona? Drona is the trainer or the teacher of both Kauravas and Pandavas. He knows the pluses and minuses of everybody. And he is the one who can even contain the Pandava forces. He is that powerful. So he just wanted to review the strategy with Drona. That is the second verse. The literal meaning. So let's see the symbolic meaning. So Sanjaya's observation. So the honest, impartial analysis revealed Duryodhana see the well-arrayed Pandava forces. Then he approached Dronacharya and started a discussion. That is the second point. Third is Drona is the powerful teacher of both Kauravas and Pandavas. His influence and presence can make a difference in the battle because he knows the pluses and minuses of almost everybody. So this is the literal meaning. Let's go to the symbolic meaning. So who is Drona and who is? So Duryodhana. So Duryodhana, Ayodhana means what? Battle. Durya plus Ayodhana, the one who is difficult to be conquered. That is what. Duryodhana is not a negative name. Most of the people think that Du plus, no. It means the one who is, means it is very difficult to conquer him in the battle. That's what Duryodhana means. Symbolically, it represents the material passion in us. Right? That passion you cannot stop. It could be for wine, it could be for women, it could be for objects. Even Vishwamitra couldn't control himself. Even sages could not control that passion in themselves because Duryodhana is pulling them. So Duryodhana symbolically represented it. I used the diagram of Puneet Tizal because for me he was a classic Duryodhana. 87, right? When we were kids, we used to watch that. He was the best Duryodhana. So then Drona. Drona means, it comes from the root Dhru, means that which stay in the melted form. That's what it is. What is staying inside in the melted form is our habits. The habits in us, it stays there. Whatever we do, it leaves a footprint there. And later point of time, what is going to happen is, it will generate a tendency. And for both good and bad, there are both good and bad habits. The habits trains good qualities and bad qualities. So that is what is Drona symbolically represents. So let's try to understand what is happening here. So self-analysis reveals that we have good qualities in us. Even the worst person in the whole world will have some good qualities. Why it is not getting manifested? It is getting buried in that negative thoughts and emotions. So Sanjaya identified that even the material passion in me see the positive forces in me, like the self-control is there always within me. I have love, I have devotion, calmness, empathy, all these things in me. And so Duryodhana is afraid. The material passion is afraid. When these qualities are predominant in me, I cannot execute my strategy. So I need to get hold of my habits. Habits means what? Initially you make the habit, and then habits make you. Good person started drinking every day at 5 o'clock. Over a period of time, he might be praying at 6 a.m. in the morning, but 6 p.m., wherever he is, he will end up in the drinking booth. Sometimes we may think that, oh, I'm just doing this 1 or 2 times, but we don't realize that when you do that multiple times, you may get a feeling. Okay, gambling is another example. Cigarette smoking. A lot of people I see, they wanted to give up. Most of the people do the New Year resolution also. This year, I'm stopping cigarette. What is going to happen? How many days it will last? Maximum 3 months. There's a website, you can go and see. How many days my New Year resolution lasts? It's a big Pareto curve. Like 80% of the New Year resolution will start and will stay only in a month time. So the habits, beware of my habits. That's very important message of this verse. Beware of Drona. Drona, even though he trains the good habits in me, but one bad habit is good enough. Since you kindled my interest in Vivek Chudamani, I was reading Vivek Chudamani. Shankaracharya tells certain animals, this elephant is very powerful, but it has one weakness. That one weakness is good enough for its downfall. Deers, they have a weakness for mridangam, they say, like the sound. When you hear the sound, it will run fast and it will end up in front of the hunters. Because of that one weakness, it will fall down. The firefly has the weakness of the light. These are the examples Shankara quotes. He tells how the habits can bring you down. So look at your habit, examine, because what you are doing, trying to do is here is self-analysis. So look at my habit. What are the driving forces driving habit in me? Or anything is that going to create problem in me? So that's what this verse tells us. These are simple looking verses, but just keep this in mind. This is very important verses. So strategy of the negative emotions or thoughts is what? Use my habit and bring me down. And most of the times it works. And I myself think, means when I was introspecting, I will tell you one of my habit, I'll tell you, like, I don't eat popcorns at all. But if I go to a movie theater, definitely, without me thinking, I'll buy popcorn. Right? So like that, right? The habits, how the presence of certain people, when I see him, I think gambling. I'm just making, right? When I see another 5 people, I feel like drinking. That's why, even in India, right, you see in park, people go and start playing cards. I've seen that. People who are not even familiar, in 5 minutes they become a thick friends and start playing. And you can see a round of people watching also. It forms, right? And habits is very hard to break. Very hard to break. So this is the strategy. And then, what exactly is the habits? It is the routine behavior we do on a regular basis. Over a period of time, what happens? It becomes a habit. So, prevailing character of a person, thoughts and feelings, or the mental makeup. This is the definition of the habit. A behavior pattern acquired by frequent repetition. That is also the definition of the habit. So, under the influence of the habit, what happens? My thinking will be bypassed. That's what happens. I don't think. I just do it. That's the power of the habit. And the habits, we need to be very careful. They are powerful. The good habits. When I get up, what is the first thing I do? Go and brush my teeth. It's a great habit. Without thinking. So habits are good also. But under the influence of habits, we fall into the hands of destructive emotions. The other day somebody was talking about nail biting. That's why I just used a harmless example. One person was telling the story in one of our class. He was trying to control his nail biting for the last 10 years. In big meeting, whenever he thinks something seriously, he will bite his nail. Live example in our own class. So the habits are so powerful. Usually but the problem is what? If I have 15 habits, if all the habits are good habits, if Drona trained only Pandavas, wonderful, the country would prosper. But he trained 101 Kauravas when he trained 5 Pandavas. So we pick up 100, when we pick up 105 habits, usually 100 of one would be problematic. So we need to identify that. Okay, so this is the summary of the second verse. I'll take 5 more minutes. That's okay, right? Start at front. Okay, so this beware of the bad habits. So we need to understand what exactly is the bad habits and good habits in us. So this is a part of our introspection. This is the summary of the second verse. So let's go to the 3, 4, 5, 6 verse together.
Acharya mahatim chamum vyudham drupada putrena tava shushyena dhimata atra shura mahe svasaha bhimarjuna samayudhi yuyudhano viratascha drupadascha maharathah धृष्टकेतुश्चेकितानः काशीराजश्च वीर्यवान् पुरुजित्कुन्तिभोजश्च शैब्यश्च नरपुङ्गवः युधामन्युश्च विक्रान्तः उत्तमौजाश्च वीर्यवान् सौभद्रो द्रौपदेयाश्च सर्व एव महारथाः.
Duryodhana is talking to Drona, right, who is the mentor. So say, Pashyaitam Pandaputranam Acharya Mahatim Chamam. Oh teacher, see the array of Pandava forces. Vyutam Drupada Putrena. They are marshaled and led by the son of Drupada. His name is Dhritarashtra. The Drupada is another king in the Pandava. Means I'm not going to the history aspects. It doesn't matter to us. So it is led by Dhritarashtra, and he tells Tava Shishyena. He is also your disciple. Dhimata. He is well intelligent. You trained them. So you trained all these people. And then Atra Shura Maheshwasa. These Pandava forces have really powerful people. Shura, Maheshwasa, and Bhima, Arjuna, Samayudhi. They are as good as Bhima and Arjuna. Bhima and Arjuna are the most powerful people in Pandava army. So Duryodhana tells the other people are also equally powerful as Bhima and Arjuna. And he enumerates the names of such people. Yuyudhana, one king in the Pandava army. Virata, the king of Virata. Drupada, king of Panchala. Maharatha, all these people are Maharatha. Maharatha, there is a definition, means he can fight with these many people, etc., which is not our point of interest. And then he is Thrishtaketu, the son of Thrishtadyumna, who is also powerful. Thrishtaketu, Chekidana, Satyaki, there is another powerful warrior. Kashi Raja, the king of Kashi Raja. Purujit, another king. Purujit, Kundipoja, the father of Kundi, who is another king. Shaibhyascha Narapungava, Shaibhya, another king, and these are all extremely powerful people. Yudhamanyu, another person. It doesn't matter, he is just enumerating the people in the Pandavas' forces. Vikranda, he is powerful. Vikrant means warrior. Uttamauchascha Viryavan, another Uttamaucha, another person, he is also powerful. Saubhadra, the son of Subhadra, is Abhimanyu, Arjuna's son. Draupadayascha, 5 sons of Draupadi from the Pandavas. Sarva eva Maharatha. He just say that all these people are powerful people. So essentially, he tells Drona that, look at, O teacher, this Pandava forces are powerful. It is led by Dhrishtadyumna, and most of the people are your own disciple. And each of them is as good as Bhima and Arjuna. If we don't strategize, we are going to lose the battle. That's all. So basically, the symbolic meaning is what? Simple. It is an enumeration of the good qualities. So when you introspect, each one of us are blessed with a lot of good values. Identify the goodness in you first, before you call yourself as a sinner. There are a lot of good things in us. So we will just list some of the values. 13th chapter of the Gita gives that values. Identify these values described in the Bhagavad Gita and what extent it is there. Some of these values may not even exist. So if a value is not there, I should kindle that value. And if there is a value, I should boost that value. That is the strategy. 16th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita also gives an elaborate description of these values. This is called Deva Asurika Sampatti. We will see that. But at this point of time, just identify that these values needs to be identified and cultivated. Okay. So the impact of these positive forces. I gave a few examples. Means I cannot show you that, it is there in the slide. So the first thing is, do you remember the incident in 2009 when a pilot, his name is Chelsea Sullenberger. Hudson. Yeah. Have you listened to the conversation in the cockpit? Yeah. Why he was able to do that?
He was very calm under pressure.
Correct. He had that courage, that value manifested. So that's one classic example. If his mind was completely out of his control. Very recently, last year, one Air India flight, AI 101, was about to land in JFK. There was no visibility in JFK. And suddenly they discovered that the automatic landing gear, first one is broken on. While they were about to land, they realized that the second one is also gone. The manual landing under that situation was very difficult. And mind you, this flight travels 14 hours. So the fuel was about to exhaust. They had only 30 minutes fuel. What they did was they moved the flight to Newark, which had a relatively better visibility. And this pilot, this captain, under that challenges, he did a manual landing. His presence of mind was highly appreciated. 400 plus people were in the flight. This is another demonstration. The third one is, when Mahatma Gandhi started the Quit India movement, even the Congress people said that this guy is foolish. Like the salt
Salt Satya.
satyagraha. Uppu satyagraha. That satyagraha. What did he do? Like he went to a shore, just collected a little bit of ocean water, put some fire, and even that didn't burn very well. It was symbolic. How can this primitive battle fight with an emperor where the sun never sets? But his fortitude, his courage, his commitment, and his value eventually drove the British outside of India. Again, demonstration of these values. Gandhiji himself tells his values comes from the Bhagavad Gita. Third example, cricket example, 2011 World Cup final. At a stage, India was 45 for 3. When Mahendra Singh Dhoni came to bat, he was not in his best form, and all the frontline batsmen were already out. There was a huge score to chase, but his calmness, I would say 100% his calmness won that World Cup for us. If that value or if that quality was not inherent in him, we would not have got that World Cup. Technical skill is secondary. So its impact of the positive forces are extremely important. So having the Pandava forces trained and winning the battle is very much important for us. Okay. So the symbolism here is, yeah.
Would you consider values also as part of Pandavas, or are these that enable Pandavas or energize Pandavas even more?
Yeah, it's
Is that, I mean,
okay, it's
are they looked up?
the demonstration of the value is the Pandavas inside, right? So for
it's
example,
something that feeds
into the, for example, divine calmness is what is Yudhishthira symbolically represented. Arjuna is what? The self-control.
Focus.
Self-control, straightforward, right? Riju, that is the definition. One who follows the straightforward path, he is the self-control. Bhima is the life force control. So these forces will help me to demonstrate that value. So identify the value. Identify how much I'm following that value. Value means first I have to accept it. The book Value of the Value starts with, Swamiji brilliantly starts, he tells a value do not have a value if the value of the value is not appreciated. See? Think of it, it's very, very, a value do not have a value if the value of the value is not appreciated. So first you have to appreciate the value, then you have to kindle the value. So then these values needs to be identified. And the summary is these three forces are, there are positive dharmic values inside me, dharmic forces inside me. The thoughts that predominates forces me to drive in the path of dharma is there, but usually they will be suppressed by the mighty Kaurava forces with the help of these Bhishma and the Drona and the Karna and the Ashwatthama. So summary, the whole thing is, the first verse of the Gita, we saw 6 verses. Dhritarashtra's question we saw. Dhritarashtra asked Sanjaya what is happening in the battlefield. Sanjaya said the battle, the Pandava army arrayed under the leadership of Dhritarashtra, seeing that Duryodhana went to the teacher Drona and tried to strategize. As the first step, he enumerated the powerful warriors in the Pandava forces. This is the literal meaning. Symbolic meaning is we don't know what is happening in and around us. So the first thing, if you want to improve, understand where you are. So identify the Sanjaya and start introspection. That Sanjaya could be inside, and also it could be somebody whom you love and trust. So later in the Gita, we will see you need to be aware of 4 things. One is the self that is known to you, which is unknown to others. Right? I do a charity, but my internal goal is what? I should get XYZ out of it, or a name out of it. People may think I'm a charitable person. Then what? what others see and I see. Okay, I genuinely try to help other people. Others also see that. The third one is what others see which I don't see. I don't know, I'm a short-tempered person, but others see that. And the last one is neither the other person
Don't see.
yeah. So that is the most difficult part, which Krishna is going to tell us a few techniques to even understand that. Those things will come. But the theme of the first chapter